There are moments in life when heaven suddenly opens, not with thunder, not with fire, but with silence. It was in that silence that the revelation came. Not through books, not through preachers, not even through the voice of another man, but through a divine whisper that carried eternal truth. A truth about money that had been hidden from generations, misunderstood by many, and yet waiting for those ready to see beyond the surface. It began as a simple encounter, a quiet night, a weary heart asking God for understanding, not for wealth, but for wisdom. And then in that sacred stillness, the answer came like light breaking through the dark. The voice of the Spirit revealed. Money was never meant to control you. It was meant to serve my purpose through you. Those words shattered every false belief built by fear, religion, and lack. It was as if invisible chains broke, the chains that made people worship money or run from it, instead of mastering it through divine purpose. In that moment, a veil was lifted. God showed that prosperity is not sin, nor is poverty holiness. True abundance flows from alignment. When your heart honors heaven and your hands manage the earth with integrity. It was not a revelation about greed, but about stewardship. Not about chasing money, but about attracting provision through obedience and faith. This message changed everything. It redefined how to pray, how to give, how to receive. It turned survival into purpose, and purpose into overflow. And now, through this video, that same revelation is being passed to you. Because this truth was never meant to remain hidden. It was meant to awaken a generation ready to understand that divine prosperity is not forbidden, it's forgotten. Watch closely, because by the end of this message, you will not only know the mystery, you will feel it. The same presence that whispered in silence is about to speak to your heart. And once you hear it, your relationship with money and with God will never be the same again. There is a sacred subject that echoes through the corridors of heaven, but remains almost unspoken in many pulpits. The truth about divine prosperity. For centuries, it has been whispered about in secret conversations, avoided on Sunday mornings, and dismissed as worldly or dangerous. But why? Why has the very topic that could lift millions from despair been wrapped in silence by the very institution called to bring light? Fear, tradition, and misunderstanding have become invisible chains around the mouths of pastors and spiritual leaders. Many fear being judged as materialistic or accused of twisting scripture for gain. Others have inherited traditions that teach poverty as a sign of humility, forgetting that lack and faith are not the same. And some simply do not understand that prosperity, true prosperity, is not about greed, but about purpose. It's about the divine flow of resources meant to bless not just one person, but entire generations. The silence of the church has caused many believers to struggle unnecessarily. They pray for blessings, but secretly believe they do not deserve them. They work hard, give faithfully, yet live bound by a mindset that rejects abundance. But the truth is this: God never intended his children to live in lack. The same God who clothed the lilies and fed the multitudes desires that his people walk in provision, peace, and overflow, so they can be a blessing to others. It's time to break the silence, to expose the lie that holiness means hunger, to reveal that prosperity is not about collecting wealth. It's about carrying responsibility. When the church begins to teach this truth with courage, the chains of financial oppression will fall. Families will be restored. Communities will be transformed. And believers will finally understand that divine prosperity is not forbidden. It's forgotten. But tonight that changes. There's a subtle war being waged in silence, not with swords, but with ideas. The enemy's most effective strategy has never been open rebellion, but quiet deception. He whispers to the hearts of believers that poverty equals holiness, that to desire abundance is to betray humility, and that to live in lack is somehow more pleasing to God. These lies have chained generations of God's people to a life far beneath the divine inheritance promised to them. Guilt has become the enemy's favorite weapon. He convinces many that wanting more is greed, when in truth, God designed his children to be fruitful, to multiply, and to steward the earth with excellence. False humility makes believers bow before lack instead of authority. It makes them pray for just enough when heaven is overflowing with provision. And while they beg for crumbs, the kingdom's work slows, the poor remain unhelped, and the light of God's abundance stays hidden behind clouds of religious shame. But here is the truth the enemy fears. Spiritual poverty is not piety, it's captivity. Darkness knows that if God's people ever realize who they are, if they ever understand that prosperity is not pride but purpose, the world will change overnight. Churches would rise in power, families would be restored, debts would be broken, and generosity would flood communities like rivers of grace. This message is a call to awaken, to break free from the spiritual manipulation that glorifies struggle and calls it sanctity. God does not want his children to suffer in lack. He wants them to reign with wisdom, to give with joy, and to live as reflections of his abundance. The greatest deception ends when the truth is spoken. You were never meant to be poor. You were meant to prosper, to build, and to bless. Let this be the day the lie loses its power. Money was never meant to enslave humanity. It was designed as a divine tool of empowerment. In the beginning, God did not create wealth as a chain to bind his children, but as a channel through which his kingdom could expand on earth. True wealth was always meant to serve purpose, not pride. It was never about accumulation, but about alignment with heaven's plan, with service, and with mission. From the Garden of Eden to Abraham's covenant, prosperity had a purpose: to establish God's order in the world. Every resource, every blessing, every talent was meant to sustain life, to feed nations, to build altars, and to fund divine assignments. The moment humanity began to worship wealth instead of using it, money became a master instead of servant. That is the greatest distortion of divine intention, the inversion of purpose. When you understand God's original blueprint, everything changes. You realize that financial abundance is not a sign of greed, but of stewardship. You stop chasing wealth for personal gain and start attracting it through purpose. Because in the kingdom, wealth follows mission. It flows where obedience leads. Those who build for God will never lack supply. For provision is always attached to vision. If you have been made to believe that money is evil, remember this: the enemy fears what you could do if you were free from lack. Because with resources in the hands of the righteous, souls can be reached, families restored, and nations transformed. Money in the wrong hands corrupts, but in the right hands, it heals, liberates, and expands light in dark places. So today, choose to reclaim that truth. You are not called to survive. You are called to build. Wealth is not the destination. It is the divine fuel for your purpose. Use it with wisdom. Multiply it with integrity. Release it with generosity. That is how God intended wealth to serve his mission on earth. For centuries, a silent curse has crept through the walls of churches and the minds of believers. The idea that being poor is somehow holy, that lack equals humility, that the less you have, the closer you are to God. But this is one of the most destructive lies ever whispered into the hearts of God's children. It was never God's design for his people to live in scarcity, shame, or limitation. The Bible speaks of stewardship, abundance, and the multiplication of talents, not the glorification of struggle. Yet generation after generation has inherited this mindset like a spiritual virus, unknowingly blocking divine blessings meant to flow freely. This religious poverty is not holiness, it's bondage. It teaches people to fear wealth instead of mastering it, to apologize for success instead of using it to expand the kingdom. It convinces the faithful that prosperity is worldly, when in truth, it is heavenly provision for heavenly purposes. The enemy knows that as long as believers stay broke, their reach stays small. He doesn't need to silence your prayers if he can silence your influence through limitation. And so many continue to pray for breakthrough while holding on to the very belief that prevents it. But the moment you see through the deception, everything changes. The curse loses its grip. You begin to understand that true holiness is not about having less. It's about using what you have for divine purpose. Wealth, when surrendered to God, becomes a weapon of goodness. It funds missions, rescues families, builds churches, feeds the hungry, and sends light into darkness. This is what divine prosperity was always meant to do. Not enslave you, but empower you. It's time to break the generational chain that equates poverty with purity. You were not born to live in survival mode. You were born to carry divine influence, to manage heavenly resources, to reflect the abundance of your Creator. When you break this mindset, you don't just change your life, you shift the inheritance of your entire bloodline. Declare today, I reject the lie of holy poverty. I am called to prosper, to give, and to build for the glory of God. Everything begins in the unseen world, the realm of thought, belief, and awareness. Before money appears in your account, before opportunities show up at your door, something shifts within your consciousness. Abundance is not a place you reach. It's a frequency you tune into. When you become aware that prosperity is not a privilege, but your divine inheritance, you stop begging for blessings and start commanding them with faith and authority. The greatest transformation happens the moment you awaken to who you truly are, a divine being created in the image of abundance itself. Lack and limitation were never meant to define you. They are illusions maintained by fear, guilt, and false beliefs passed down through generations. When you break free from that mental prison, the world around you begins to respond differently. Suddenly, doors open, people show up, resources flow, because the outside world is merely a reflection of the inner awareness you carry. Every breakthrough begins with one realization: I am worthy of wealth, peace, and overflow. The moment you speak and believe this truth, heaven and earth align to confirm it. Awareness is not just mental knowledge. It is spiritual activation. Once you become conscious of your divine right to prosper, every cell in your being vibrates in agreement with abundance, and life has no choice but to mirror that back to you. Abundance begins in the mind. Prosperity is born in awareness. And when your awareness shifts, your entire reality follows. From the very first words ever spoken, "Let there be," the universe responded. Light pierced through darkness. Order rose from chaos. And the invisible became visible. This was not just a historical event. It was a divine revelation of how creation itself operates. God wasn't merely describing, He was declaring. And through His words, everything came into existence. The same law that shaped galaxies also governs your reality today. You were made in the image of the Creator, which means your words carry creative power. Every time you speak in faith, you activate the same principle that formed heaven and earth. When you declare abundance instead of lack, peace instead of fear, victory instead of defeat, you align your spirit with the frequency of divine creation. Money, opportunities, and miracles are not accidents. They are responses. Responses to faith-filled words released with conviction. Just as God said, "Let there be light," you can decree, "Let there be provision." And the unseen begins to rearrange itself to match your declaration. Your finances, your business, your home, all of them are fields waiting for the seed of your spoken faith. Remember this: creation doesn't happen by silence. It happens by speech. If your reality doesn't reflect the promise, it's not because God has withdrawn His power. It's because your words have not yet matched His intention. Begin to speak life. Speak increase. Speak divine order into your economy. When you understand God's law of creation, you stop begging for miracles and start creating them through faith and declaration. The same power that said, "Let there be," is alive in you, waiting for your voice to release it. Everything God created operates under a divine law, the law of value. What you value multiplies. What you ignore diminishes. It's not just about money. It's about energy, focus, and gratitude. Every moment, every opportunity, every person that enters your life carries a piece of divine potential. When you recognize that potential and treat it with honor, heaven recognizes your awareness and entrusts you with more. If you value your time, God expands your impact. If you value your gifts, He opens doors for them to shine. If you value relationships, He sends divine connections that lift you higher. But when you take lightly what He has already placed in your hands, your skills, your job, your ideas, the flow of multiplication stops. You don't lose blessings because God is punishing you, but because dishonor disconnects you from the source. The code of value is hidden in plain sight. It's in how you speak, how you plan, how you serve. When you start treating what you have as sacred, your mornings, your body, your calling. You activate a supernatural law that attracts increase. This is the true mystery behind divine prosperity. God doesn't just bless need, He blesses value. So ask yourself today, what have you been overlooking? What have you called small that heaven calls seed? Because in the kingdom, God never multiplies what you complain about. He multiplies what you honor. And the moment you begin to honor what's already in your hands, what's been hidden begins to grow beyond your imagination. When you step into divine alignment, life stops being a constant battle. Money, opportunities, and favor begin to flow instead of being forced. This is not coincidence. It's the natural result of your soul vibrating in harmony with the purpose God placed inside you. Alignment is not about chasing wealth. It's about walking in rhythm with your divine assignment. When your calling and faith are synchronized, the heavens respond. What once felt blocked suddenly opens. People appear at the right time. Ideas come effortlessly. Provision finds you. Think about it. The same way planets move in perfect order without colliding, your life, too, has a divine orbit. When you are centered in your purpose, resources are drawn to you as naturally as gravity. You don't have to beg or compete. You simply attract, because what is meant for your mission recognizes your spiritual frequency. Money becomes a servant, not a master. It flows toward impact, not ego. Many struggle not because they lack talent or effort, but because they're out of alignment. They're trying to live someone else's calling, chasing goals God never assigned to them. But when you finally surrender to your true path, when your faith and actions mirror heaven's design, even closed doors become divine detours, leading you higher. Alignment unlocks acceleration. So pause and ask yourself, am I aligned with my divine purpose? Because when you are, everything you need, finances, favor, people, power, begins to move toward you without resistance. Divine alignment isn't about working harder. It's about working with heaven. And when heaven moves, no force on earth can stop what's about to unfold in your life. Every word that leaves your mouth is a seed sown into the spiritual realm. Words are not just sounds. They're vibrations that shape reality. When you speak with faith, you send out creative energy that begins to gather matter, opportunities, and favor around you. But when your speech is filled with doubt, fear, or complaint, those same vibrations construct barriers that block blessings from entering your life. Your mouth is not ordinary. It is a spiritual bank. Every word you speak is a deposit, and the universe, guided by divine law, multiplies what you've placed within it. If you continually deposit faith, gratitude, and declarations of abundance, you build a spiritual fortune that manifests in peace, prosperity, and favor. But if you speak lack, negativity, or self-doubt, you are making withdrawals from your divine account without even realizing it. That is why Scripture says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. Your words have the authority to open or close doors, to create or destroy, to build wealth or invite poverty. Every I can't, every it's too hard, carries the vibration of defeat. But every God provides, every I am blessed, every I am walking in abundance, deposits light and multiplies divine energy in your spiritual economy. Your future is not written in the stars. It is spoken through your mouth. The miracles you are waiting for are already stored in heaven, waiting for your words to unlock them. Speak with conviction. Declare with faith. Turn your tongue into a tool of creation, and watch as heaven begins to mirror what you boldly proclaim. Your next breakthrough might not require more effort, only a different declaration. So today, speak as one who knows that every word is currency in God's economy. Invest wisely. Speak life. Multiply blessings. There is a force that whispers in silence, unseen yet powerful enough to chain entire generations. It is not just a mindset. It is a spirit, the spirit of poverty. It cloaks itself in fear, doubt, and shame every time you think about money. It convinces you that wealth is evil, that abundance is for others, that struggle makes you holier. It's an invisible parasite that feeds on your insecurity and turns blessings into burdens. This spirit doesn't live in your wallet. It lives in your beliefs. It hides behind phrases like, I can't afford it, I don't deserve it, or money changes people. It's in the guilt you feel when you succeed, the hesitation to dream bigger, and the fear of being judged for wanting more. But once you recognize its presence, you take back your authority. Awareness is the first act of deliverance. Through prayer, you strip this spirit of its power. When you begin to thank God for what you have, the curse of lack starts to break. Gratitude transforms your energy. What once repelled provision now attracts it. Every thank you becomes a sword that cuts through spiritual resistance. Every declaration of faith becomes a key that unlocks abundance. The poverty spirit cannot coexist where truth and praise live. When you say, "I am provided for," the atmosphere shifts. When you walk in trust instead of fear, money stops being your master and becomes your servant. You stop chasing blessings and start living as the source through which blessings flow. This is your awakening moment. Expose the lie. Rebuke the fear. Declare with authority, "I am not cursed with lack. I am chosen for overflow." Then watch how divine provision starts to move in your direction, effortlessly and endlessly. Money is not meant to be imprisoned in fear or scarcity. It is a living energy designed to flow. Just as the heart pumps blood to every cell of the body, the divine design of abundance requires movement. When you give, you create a sacred rhythm that keeps prosperity alive. When you bless others, you keep heaven's economy open over your life. Those who cling tightly to what they have often block the very flow they're praying for. But those who release, who give freely, help others, and sow into good soil, become channels through which God's provision never ceases. The moment you let go of greed and step into generosity, you align with the current of divine abundance. Money is not the goal. It is a servant of purpose. The more you circulate it in faith, the more it multiplies and returns. Every act of kindness, every gift given with pure intention, every seed planted in gratitude sends a vibration through the spiritual economy of the universe. It says to God, "I trust you as my source." And God responds by pouring back, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. To hold is to fear. To release is to believe. The law of circulation reminds us that wealth does not stay with the closed hand. It moves through the open heart. Keep the flow alive. Give, help, bless, and watch how heaven keeps finding new ways to pour back into you. Every seed you sow carries a destiny within it. Nothing you give, no act of generosity, ever goes unnoticed in the eyes of heaven. The moment you release what's in your hand, you activate a supernatural exchange, the invisible law of divine circulation. You cannot outgive God. Every offering, every act of kindness, every sacrifice made in faith becomes a seed that grows beyond time, multiplying in places you cannot yet see. When you give, you declare, "I trust God more than numbers, more than logic, more than fear." You are telling the universe that your source is not your job, not your bank account, but the Creator Himself. Giving is not loss, it is planting. Farmers don't cry when they sow their seeds. They rejoice because they know harvest is coming. Likewise, your giving today is a prophecy of abundance tomorrow. The soil of heaven responds to faith, not to calculation. When your heart releases with gratitude and expectation, divine multiplication begins. Doors open, favor appears, and miracles start aligning in silence. What you give in secret will echo loudly in your future. The harvest doesn't just return in money. It comes in peace, health, opportunities, restoration, and unexpected favor. Remember, the seed always carries more than its size. A single seed can produce a forest. A single act of faith can rewrite a destiny. So never underestimate the power of your giving. Every time you sow, you are partnering with God's economy, one that never collapses, never runs dry, and never fails those who believe. There are moments when heaven seems silent, when prayers echo back unanswered, and doors remain closed no matter how much we knock. It's in those moments that God isn't ignoring you. He's observing you. He withholds not to punish, but to prepare. What you call delay is often divine strategy. What feels like lack is a lesson in trust. Every seed of faith must first be buried before it can bloom. God allows certain seasons of waiting so that your roots of trust can grow deep. He's not interested in quick faith. He's building anchored faith. When everything seems uncertain, He's testing whether your belief is in the blessing or in the blesser. The test of trust is the highest test of faith. It's when you choose to keep walking even when the map disappears. When you keep giving even when you lack. When you keep believing even when there's no visible sign of progress. That's when heaven leans in and whispers, "Now you're ready." Trusting divine timing means surrendering control and embracing the mystery of God's plan. It means knowing that His not yet is not a no. Every withheld miracle hides a greater purpose. Every closed door guards something sacred. The process is not there to break you. It's there to shape you. And when the test ends, you realize something powerful. You didn't just survive the wait. You became someone new in it. Someone stronger, wiser, and more aligned with heaven's rhythm. The promise always comes after the proving. God was never late. He was perfecting the clock inside your soul. When you learn to trust the process, you don't just wait for blessings, you attract them. Gratitude is not just a feeling. It's a spiritual mirror that reflects the abundance already flowing in your life. When you begin to recognize the blessings you once overlooked, the air you breathe, the strength in your body, the opportunities you didn't see as miracles, heaven takes notice. In the silence of your appreciation, divine forces start to move again. What you acknowledge expands. What you celebrate multiplies. Many people keep asking for more while ignoring the treasures already in their hands. But the truth is, God doesn't bless complaints. He blesses gratitude. Every time you say thank you, you send a signal to heaven that you are ready for the next level. Gratitude becomes the proof that you are not moved by lack, but by faith. It transforms ordinary moments into divine encounters, turning your home, your work, your relationships into sacred ground. Think of gratitude as a mirror. Whatever you reflect back to the universe comes back multiplied. When you focus on problems, you receive more reasons to worry. But when you focus on the good, heaven opens new doors. Gratitude is not about denying pain. It's about finding light even in the storm. It's a declaration that says, "I already have enough, and yet I am ready for more." So today, stop for a moment. Look around. Count your blessings one by one. The breath in your lungs, the food on your table, the people who love you. Each one is a seed of divine favor. And when you honor those seeds with gratitude, they grow into forests of miracles. Remember, heaven trusts the grateful heart. When God sees that you value what He has already given, He releases what was once withheld. Gratitude doesn't just multiply what you have. It transforms who you are. It makes you a magnet for divine provision, a vessel of peace, and a living testimony that miracles follow those who appreciate them. There are moments when heaven intervenes so clearly that logic stands silent. Stories have emerged from ordinary people, men and women who had nothing left but faith, and suddenly, provision appeared from nowhere. Bills were paid without explanation. Bank accounts that read empty. One morning showed deposits by evening. Strangers became unexpected channels of blessing. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations of divine alignment. Each testimony carries the same pattern. Surrender first, abundance second. When they stopped chasing and started trusting, the supernatural stepped in. One woman testified that after forgiving a long-held resentment, she received a job offer she hadn't even applied for. Another man said that after he began tithing again, despite his fear, he received triple the amount he had given away within days. These are not stories of luck. They are echoes of divine principles at work. When you align with truth, when you believe that God is your source, not the system, the impossible begins to move in your favor. Miracles multiply where gratitude resides. Faith transforms scarcity into opportunity. The testimonies prove a single unshakable law. Heaven always funds purpose. And now, this video will not only remind you of those miracles, but invite you to become the next testimony. Because the same God who did it for them is waiting to do it for you. Believe, align, and prepare. Your own story of supernatural provision is about to unfold. Inside every person, there's a silent war. The war between what the flesh sees and what the spirit knows. The flesh says, "There's not enough." The spirit whispers, "Heaven overflows." The flesh counts the coins. The spirit multiplies them. The flesh sees obstacles. The spirit sees opportunity. This inner conflict determines whether you live trapped by limitation or lifted by divine abundance. Human logic resists the supernatural because logic demands proof, while faith demands trust. Logic builds walls of calculation. Faith opens gates of miracles. You can't think like the world and expect heaven's provision. You can't cling to fear and still hold miracles in your hands. As long as the mind tries to control what only the Spirit can release, abundance will seem distant, always almost there, but never quite yours. The moment you surrender your understanding and align with divine wisdom, the flow begins. Suddenly, doors that were closed start to open. Opportunities appear out of nowhere, and favor begins to follow you. Because heaven doesn't respond to logic, it responds to alignment. When your heart trusts more than your mind doubts, provision manifests effortlessly. This is the secret the world can't grasp. You were never meant to survive by reason alone. You were designed to live by revelation, to see beyond numbers, beyond what you earn or what seems possible. God's abundance is not limited by your bank account, your education, or your background. It's activated by faith. So today, silence the voice of the flesh that says, "It's impossible." And let the Spirit remind you, with God, nothing is impossible. Because the real victory isn't when the money comes. It's when your spirit finally wins over your logic. That's when heaven begins to move. In the eyes of heaven, wealth has never been about numbers. It has always been about stewardship. While the world teaches us to accumulate, to possess, to own, the kingdom teaches us to manage, to serve, and to multiply what belongs to God. Every blessing, every resource, every coin that passes through your hands is not just money. It's a trust, a divine assignment disguised as provision. When you live from a kingdom perspective, you stop asking, "How much can I get?" and start asking, "How much can I handle for God's glory?" True prosperity isn't proven by luxury. It's revealed by responsibility. The wealthy in spirit understand that abundance flows through them, not to them. They are rivers, not reservoirs. They know that hoarding blocks the current of divine flow, but giving keeps the waters of heaven moving. The difference between kingdom wealth and worldly greed is simple but eternal, the heart behind it. Greed seeks control. Kingdom wealth seeks contribution. Greed isolates. Kingdom wealth elevates others. Greed ends with self. Kingdom wealth begins with purpose. When you align your finances with heaven's agenda, you step into a supernatural economy where obedience becomes your greatest investment and faith your currency. You realize that money is not evil. It's neutral. But in the wrong hands, it becomes an idol. In the right hands, it becomes an instrument of impact, feeding the hungry, funding missions, healing broken systems, and revealing God's generosity to a watching world. So stop chasing what the world calls success. Start embodying what heaven calls trustworthiness. Because in the kingdom, prosperity isn't measured by what you keep. It's measured by how much of heaven's heart you release on earth. For centuries, people have been told that money is evil, that to desire more is to fall from grace. But the truth, the one hidden beneath layers of fear and manipulation, is far more powerful. Money itself is not evil. It is neutral, a divine mirror reflecting the state of your spirit. When your heart is filled with greed, fear, or pride, money exposes it. But when your heart is pure, aligned with heaven's flow, and guided by purpose, money becomes a vessel of light. It flows toward you, not as a temptation, but as a confirmation of alignment. Prosperity is not a sin, it's a signal, a sign that you are walking in harmony with divine order, where provision is no longer something you chase, but something that naturally follows your faith and integrity. True wealth is not measured in numbers, but in the freedom to give, to build, to bless. When heaven trusts your heart, provision finds you. The spiritual man does not worship gold. He commands it, because he understands that every resource on earth was created to serve God's vision through him. This is the forbidden truth the world never wanted you to know. Abundance is holy when it's handled with a sanctified heart. When your inner life mirrors divine harmony, lack disappears, doors open, and money becomes what it was always meant to be, a tool in the hands of the righteous to manifest heaven on earth. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You've listened, reflected, and received divine truth. Now it's time to activate it. This is not just the end of a message. It's the beginning of your transformation. In this sacred moment, heaven is listening. The atmosphere shifts as your words become keys that unlock the gates of provision, peace, and purpose. Let your spirit rise above doubt and limitation. Release every fear that once whispered you can't. You are not waiting for abundance. Abundance is waiting for your agreement. This is your prophetic moment to align your words with God's will. Feel the presence of divine energy surrounding you, washing away scarcity, and replacing it with clarity, courage, and confidence. Now, speak this decree aloud with conviction. Let every word echo through your soul. I receive the divine revelation of prosperity. I am open to heaven's provision. What was blocked is now released. Say it again, louder this time. Every syllable breaks a chain. Every declaration activates a flow. You are no longer chasing blessings. You are walking in alignment with them. From this moment forward, lack has no authority over your life. Doors open easily. Opportunities find you naturally. Heaven recognizes your voice, and your faith becomes a signal that commands miracles to manifest. This is your activation, your decree, your divine release. Welcome to your season of abundance.